born and I grew up in Puerto Rico. I went to high school in New Jersey, to a prep school called Lawrenceville. And after that, I came to Miami, to the University of Miami. My interest in politics really goes back to Puerto Rico, where my uncle was at that time a founder of the Republican Party and subsequently of the Partido Nuevo Progresista, PNP. And he subsequently, after running many times, became governor of Puerto Rico in 1968. So my interest dates back to then. I used to, even though I'm a Democrat, I would always participate in his elections as a young man. And then I took an interest myself in politics, ran for the Florida House, served in Tallahassee in the state legislature, subsequently came back to Miami, became a commissioner, eventually mayor of Miami for 12 years, and then I went down to the county where I served as vice chair of the Board of County Commissioners. I did not like the legislative process, and even though Tallahassee is very beautiful, I really did not enjoy Tallahassee that much. So when I had the opportunity to come and serve in local government, I took it. In 1973, there was an opportunity for me to serve as mayor. In those days, the Hispanic vote in the city of Miami was 3% in 1973. So obviously I was not elected because I was Puerto Rican or because of the Hispanic vote. And that was a very tough election. I have, as time went on, I had to change my political base because I really didn't have a political base. So I was elected basically by the Anglo community in '73. I was elected in 1979 by the Hispanic community because I had a strong Anglo opponent. And in 1981, a Cuban American ran against me, so I had to rely on the Anglo community and on the black community. And it really was the African American community that elected me in 1981 and 1983. So it was a very interesting learning process on political survival. Well, being a Puerto Rican, I never had any problem. I didn't have any racial problem. So I feel perfectly at ease in the African American community. And the African American community is, without any question, the most sensitive political community in the country and probably one of the most sensitive in the world. But Puerto Rico is that way. Puerto Rico is a very sensitive political culture, and I grew up with that political sensitivity. So it really was not that difficult. As far as the Anglo-white American community, you know, I went I was a preppy guy from a prominent prep school, and I learned the culture and the ways of the white American community. And it really was not very difficult for me to be a part of that community because I really feel as a Puerto Rican and as an American, as most of us do, that we're multicultural. I think it's not that we're bilingual, which I am, of course. It's much more important, we're multicultural. I can blend very easily in many communities. My wife is Venezuelan. My children, two of them are married to Nicaraguans, one to a wonderful Jewish gal, one to a Peruvian. My grandfather was Cuban. So it's a very easy thing for me to fit into many communities. Well, in 1973, the problem in Miami was that the economic base was not sufficient to pay for the services required for the city. So I had to do two things. One was to build up the commercial part of town, which really meant the downtown area and the Coconut Grove area. So I used to explain it this way. It's like a train that has an engine. The city of Miami was a train without an engine. So the engine became the growth of downtown. In 15 years, in the 12 years that when I was mayor, when I left, when I began, 2/3 of the burden of running the city was on homeowners. Those are the taxpayers. When I left, that was down to 40%. In other words, the 2/3 of the weight of carrying the city's services was carried by the commercial side of the community. The second thing that I did was that Miami, even though it was a tourist destination, really didn't have a direction. And it was clear to me that the future of Miami was as an inter-American international city. So what I did was I spent a tremendous amount of time going to Argentina, to Chile. I mean, I met with Pinochet, I met with the presidents of Argentina, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, to encourage them to look upon Miami as their home in the USA. As a consequence of that, those trips and many organizational things, we had a bicentennial trip to Caracas and Bogota. We had many trips to Argentina. We began to get a lot of the Latin American banks, especially in Brazil, Argentina, and Venezuela, to open up branches in Miami. With the growth of the Cuban, therefore the Spanish-speaking community, that all came in together, and I think there's no question about that. Miami has become, in many, many ways, if not a cultural, certainly a meeting center for Latin America. And yet it's Miami, USA.